Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm your host, Joe, with Coinigy, joined by the wonderful Mr. Brian Beamish from therationalinvestor.com.
Hello,
What's up, Brian?
everyone.
Welcome
Happy,
back.
what is it? It's Happy May Day. We should all
Yeah,
be proud
May
communists
1st.
today.
Yeah,
And actually,
crazy.
speaking of which, I've been making a joke lately. I don't know whether you're aware, but did you know that the United States of America is the biggest socialist country in the world?
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you hear my rants and videos lately?
I
I've been
have.
mentioning this a few times. So it's kind
I
of
have.
funny that all these sort of communist countries all love the May Day and all that. But how do you define socialism?
Not
Government
sure.
employs the most people, eh?
Yeah,
And the United States of America, because you guys love your guns.
they
Department
do.
of Defense is actually the biggest employer around the world. It's the U.S. Department of Defense. Isn't that kind of interesting?
That's very surprising, actually. Oh,
So,
not all that surprising, but that's pretty crazy to hear.
yeah, so by definition, the United States of America is the biggest socialist country in the world. I found that amusing.
That checks out.
Anyway, so happy May Day, comrade. Nice
Likewise,
to
my friend.
chat with you as always.
Looking forward to it.
uh,
So we're about what are we 2 weeks post halvening here.
yeah,
That was I mean you said you're not in the game for predicting or anything, but you said you had a feeling we were gonna kind of level out for a little while, similar to the 2016
yeah,
halvening event
yeah.
after that. So, markets are kind of dropping. Right now, I saw we were down to 57 earlier. If we want to maybe just jump in and look at a Bitcoin chart post halvening, see what's going on there.
Sure, you want to get right into this?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, we'll take a look into it.
Here is that Bitcoin chart. I always like to look at Stamp, but I guess
Yeah.
I'm nostalgic. I don't know how many people actually use Stamp anymore.
I'd still say it's a pretty popular exchange. But it's
Hmm.
crazy that we've had Bitstamp since the beginning. Actually, next week is Coinigy's 10th birthday. So everyone out there, keep an eye on our social media. We're gonna be running a good promo for Coinigy's 10th birthday. So looking
That's kind of
forward to
cool.
that. Yeah, and
If
then
there's if there's any kind of links or anything you want to dump, I see you you put the show link in the lounge. Feel free to throw in any sort of promo stuff that
we'll do. So
you think
yeah,
the
we'll be
members might be
offering.
able to benefit from. That's kind of cool.
Definitely. We'll be offering a pretty discount for some semi-annual subscriptions here
Sweet.
for Coinigy. So looking forward to that. And then keep an eye on for tomorrow. We've got an announcement about just a new feature that's on Coinigy. Just it's called the Crypt. Talked about it in the previous shows, but finally have that out. And we'll be announcing that tomorrow. It's just going to be a place where users can see old data going back to the Cripsy days and
Ah,
Mount Gox days. So we had all this data uh, in our archive that just wasn't being displayed anywhere, and a lot of interesting nostalgic names that some dead currencies, you could say, that we have displayed in a section called the crypt on Coinigy. So
sweet.
that's going to be got a press release going out in the morning about that. So it's a little fun little thing for some users that have been in the space for a while. You'll be seeing some names that you haven't seen in a quite some time.
Archcoin. I don't really
Yep,
remember
that'll be on
Mobies.
there too.
We're supposed to be all living in our Mobies now, but I don't think we ever came with that. Do you remember Mobies?
I don't think so.
Might be a little bit before your
For
time.
my time.
Interesting. I wanted to see if we could do a Foggenbaum off this high, but no, no. Okay, so it's going the other way. Let's go that way, and then that way, and then hopefully we can do this. Hey, there we go. So, yeah, as you had pointed out, we are correcting here a bit. I don't know how deep we have to go, but I don't know. You ever heard the old man go, "If you ever see the market smiling at you,
Wants
you
to take
better
your
be
money.
careful."
Yes, sir.
The smiles are there. Um, if we apply our Foggenbaum constants, I kind of like the idea of us maybe coming back and just checking this old breakout level. And then, as I had pointed out in the past with you, if we just do a really simple fib, although I don't know if this is drawn off at regular scale or not. And there we go. So we just do a regular, good old fib. Just keep this simple. There we are. So I do like the idea of us coming back down into sort of 38.2s to 50% levels. Remember, this is just good old WD GAN.
Yep.
So I don't think this is really asking too much. It's interesting how we tagged the underside actually of a Foggenbaum level here. And I don't know. I think these are drawn correctly. Let's see. No, actually, that's incorrect. Let's just make this as simple as possible. Da, da, da. And of course, you got to make sure they're drawn correctly. So these are just some basic extension levels. So I think that's what we had on the screen there a minute ago.
Yeah.
We did kind of go maybe a little too far, too fast up top here. Interesting how the M did come in just above this 4669 level. And also too, I kind of feel like we had sort of a sell the rumor event and buy the news today.
Mm-hmm.
In that we had a FOMC meeting.
Yep.
And if anything, I think you probably have to, unfortunately, the crypto kids won't like this, but I think you have to just acknowledge that crypto is now part of the system. I think it was always supposed to be part of the system. That was the plan from the beginning. All right. I'm not quite sure where that text went. Let's go. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's there. Oh, yeah, let's go. There we go. So I get the feeling like the whole market was just panic dumping. The Fed's never gonna cut rates. It's gonna keep raising rates till the end of the world. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But it kind of felt like, and also too, how quickly the sentiment in this space changes, eh?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we had a really funny meme on this show yesterday. I don't know whether I showed it to you or not. I don't know whether you said you were able to watch the
On the
video from
DB yesterday,
yesterday.
I did not yet. I plan on
Oh my
catching up
goodness.
on it.
We post so much stuff in the lounge though, so it takes me a half an hour to scroll up to where that was yesterday. But Stewart was even posting it, and actually, I think it was I can't remember the person exactly, but kind of like like relative speed tests. The cheetah runs so fast.
Yeah.
Then the speed of light much faster. The only thing that's faster than all that is how the sentiment in crypto can change. It moves at warp speed. So we obviously had a couple pretty nasty fundamental events happen here. Here it is. This one. This is funny. So this was the image that we were passing around the site. So change of sentiment in crypto through the roof. There's the cheetah, the airplane, the speed of light, and then
And
crypto.
crypto. Bulls versus bears.
So, and tragically, this unfortunately, it's how capitalism goes. The public is just insanely, stupidly bullish on the move up. And now that we've rolled over and we're breaking, they unfortunately turn just ridiculously bearish. I will say, though, that there's one handy tool that we should all have in our back pockets, which should help us at least not get sucked into the bearish negative euphoria. That is, change your chart to a weekly chart. And I like to use these really simple moving averages here to try and give me an indication of what the sentiment in the space is. This is a weekly chart, so these things take like weeks, if not months, to roll over. And you can see, the sentiment, it crossed back bullish here. This is where Fink goes, my ETF, I'm going to rule the world. And we had a really nice little bullish bot setup come out of this consolidation here, which set the stage for this big run up. And you can see the moving averages are, in fact, I would even argue that they're unhealthily wide. This is too wide. If anything, what we like to see is the moving averages come back together, sort of make like a sandwich. And then this point where they sort of resolve, and one moving average, the fast moving average, is breaking out away from the slow moving average. That's your sexy sex right in there.
Okay.
This got, what this says to me is, yes, we're a bull. Fast moving average is above the medium term moving average. Medium term is above the longer term moving average. But maybe went a little too far too fast. And we just need to take some time and sort of encourage these moving averages to squeeze back together again. And actually, interesting too, this was like last year, right? So there's April, there's May. All right, what are we supposed to be thinking around somebody's birthday?
Marcus don't
And
like Brian's birthday.
yeah, well, no, I think it was Coinigy. It's Coinigy's birthday. Those are
Yeah.
the bastards that have done this
Yeah,
to us.
that's it. Yes.
So is it Coinigy? Is it Chris? I don't know if you ever heard me.
Yeah, I
Our show
know.
director. I mean, I've never run into it myself before, but in the past few years, I've actually met two people who actually have the same birthday as me. And I mean, I haven't in 50 plus years on this planet never met anybody who had the same birthday as me, and all of a sudden, the past couple of years, I've met like a couple. So we got Lizzie down there in Sacramento. Actually, Adam, right? Is Adam on the YouTube call over there? He's usually
Sure, he'll be
pretty.
here shortly if he's
Um,
not already.
so Adam, in fact, actually, I should probably have that up just in case somebody wants to say something, eh? But Adam is he encouraged one of his next door neighbors who got really interested in crypto to come and take the education program there. Yeah, there's my funny little beer drinking hat. I'm in a frivolous mood when I have my beer drinking hat on. Um, but Lizzie also, Liz has a birthday May 11th. That's shocking. Like I said, and now it turns out Coinigy is basically
Yep.
born on the same day as me. Wow, that's
Yep.
freaky.
10, 10 years ago. It's crazy how fast time flies. I've been
Mm-hmm.
with Coinigy for over 7 years now. So
Yeah, well,
crazy.
I even remember getting together with Will and Rob when they first were getting this thing off the ground.
Yep. And
And
so how long have you guys been doing TRI?
2014, so basically
Okay.
10
So
years
yeah,
as well.
10 years.
I think a lot of stuff in crypto sort of got its start there, following Mount Gox.
Yep.
That sort of Mount Gox event was kind of like that. Actually, brought a lot of people into the space.
Hit the news headlines.
Yeah, and in a weird sort of way, that transition event out of the because prior to that, it was all about Silk Road. Do you remember Silk Road?
Yeah.
And
That
Bitcoin, you could argue, and really, I would actually argue it still exists. But Bitcoin was very prevalent in like the dark web. And, it's fascinating that CZ, like literally, I think you could make the argument that CZ was part of $1 billion of fraud in the crypto space. And yet he only gets like 4 months in jail.
was gonna say there's a reason he's in prison. So
Well, 4 months. Give me a break.
slap on
And
the
he's probably
wrist.
gonna get like like Martha Stewart. Remember when she was sent to jail? And it's really like a country club that they get sent to, right? And he's gonna sit and like weave baskets or punch license plates or something for the state for 4 months. But the guy who actually was in charge of, I don't know whether he was in charge. I think he was. But Albrecht, right?
Mhm.
He got like
Ross
two.
Ulbricht,
He got like two, not
lifetime,
simultaneous, but back to
back to
back
back
life
lifetime.
sentences. So literally, they're saying you literally have to die and be resurrected and come back, and that's the only way you are ever going to be able to get out of jail. Because you got one life sentence, and you would have to like literally come back from the dead to get onto the second life sentence. You're never getting out.
Nope.
So, and I mean, there are, if you know the Silk Road story, that I think there are reasons. But at the same time, too, there are a lot of people, of course, in this space that think that he was very unjustly treated.
Yep.
Anyway, so it is kind of funny that CZ gets only 4 months, and yet he'll come out. And now, yeah, is it called habeas? No, I don't think it's called habeas corpus. But there's a specific sort of Latin term that they use in the legal system in the West here, where you can't get charged twice for the same crime. So with this plea deal here, everything that he's gotten away with, and if you're curious, I always like to watch this guy, Tyler, I think his name is, but the Chico Crypto guys,
Yeah.
which is
I've
actually just
followed him.
down the way. After I left you in Portland and I drove down to LA, we drove through Chico because or actually, I drove through on the way back to you, coming back from LA. But I always wanted to know where Chico was. So at
Should have
least
hit him
now I
up.
can say I've driven through Chico, California. But man, you listen to Tyler talk about how corrupt CZ was. I mean, quite literally, he and SBF used to have private channels where they would talk about, okay, we're going to screw the public over with this coin next, and then we're going to do
Ugh.
these guys, and then we're going to do this, and then, I mean, just absolutely blatantly criminal behavior. And that'll all just be completely swept under the carpet like it never happened. And don't take me commenting on it. This is from Tyler. He's repeatedly called out CZ for how corrupt that whole crap was. Anyway, this is this crazy ass world that we live in. I think the Muslims actually consider this place hell, and you have to try and work your way out of it. Seeing that kind of stuff makes me believe maybe they're right.
Hmm.
But anyway, the happy, happy, joy, joy. I got to work on my PMA, right? So looking at the price action of Bitcoin itself, I do find it interesting. Actually, I don't know. Do you remember Roger Ver? Do you remember what made Roger Ver famous in the Bitcoin landscape? You remember? Did you ever watch the video when
The Bitcoin Jesus guy.
I don't know whether I know.
Roger Ver, yeah, sometimes referred to as Bitcoin Jesus. I saw him in the news this
Yeah,
week.
well, he got arrested for tax evasion.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is Jesus never really had two nickels to rub together, so I don't think he ever had to worry about tax evasion. But wow, mysteriously, Mr. Ver is in a Spanish jail. Uh-oh. Did any famous crypto enthusiast unalive himself in a Spanish jail?
Um, who we referring to?
Uh, he used to
Ah.
live on a yacht,
Oh,
and
yes.
he used to be quite vocal about the 1%'s plan to screw us all over.
Yep.
Mr. McAfee.
Yep.
So anyway, if I'm Mr. Ver, I better be damn careful.
Yeah.
Oh God, you can't write better fiction than reality, eh?
No, you
So it
cannot.
just goes to show you get CZ thrown in jail. A bit of a plea deal, but nonetheless. You get Roger Ver arrested on tax evasion. And if anything, this is a really good lesson to all of you. Don't mess with Big Brother. Big Brother always wins. And the worst part about Big Brother is Big Brother has like the longest um what's patience. Like I'm always talking to you guys about patience and discipline.
Yep.
Well, the US government and any government for that matter, they've got the patience of Job. They can wait 3, 4, 5 years to nail you if they want to. And actually, this
Yep.
is a good question. If there are any legal scholars in the audience, I always thought that the tax laws, there was like a statute of limitations of 7 years. They usually, when they audit you, they only go back 7 years. And when did all that? You remember? I remember when Roger Ver, like what I remember of Roger Ver was he did a video interview on YouTube, and he wanted to fork Bitcoin and it be like the real Bitcoin, his vision of Bitcoin, and they called it B Cash,
Yep.
and it just made him so angry. So I do find that kind of amusing.
Yeah.
And he was famous, right? He gave I can't remember who the guy interviewing him was, but he gave him the bird, and he was famous for like rage quitting, getting all angry.
I
So anyway, I
just
guess just the
looked up
point.
Roger Ver allegedly evaded at least $48 million in taxes, according to the indictment that was announced yesterday.
I would say he should have made a hell of a lot more than that, but
That was just in taxes that he didn't
yeah.
pay. So
Well, I know that Bcash alone, right? And it'd be interesting, with a fork, does the IRS actually consider that a capital disposition? They might. There's probably a lot of sort of uncertainty around how capital gains are included when it comes to crypto and forks and stuff. But I think he's a U.S. citizen, which means that it doesn't matter where he goes in the world, and that's like you as well. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, you are on the hook. You could be on Mars, and they still want their chunk of flesh out of you. So, and I would imagine my country, it's probably the same thing. So.
mhm.
So, point of the matter here is a couple very quick sentiment rockers has shaken the foundation of the enthusiasm in the space. What I would simply say, and what I kind of said in this tweet here, and this is, I've been doing this for 30 bloody years, so maybe I almost take it for granted. But number one, of course, you're not allowed to chase. So, you got to look at a price chart that looks like that, that's going straight up, and you coming in and buying up top here, you're chasing the bull market. And you're probably
Yep.
asking for trouble. So, you got to learn how to not chase. Um, I'll tell you this. There's actually one guy, he runs, I think he's like the, I don't know, president, um, chief bottle washer, who knows, of a coin LTO. I can't remember what his name is, but Sjord over there in the Netherlands, he's pretty familiar with the guy. LTO, I don't know whether you've ever seen that
Yep, I've
cryptocurrency.
seen that name.
And he is like really, really good at calling the top on these markets because he literally comes out and he makes some outlandish bullish statement. And recently, about a month or so ago, he put out a tweet riding the bull, woo! And he was wearing like Gucci shoes, and he was like riding some sort of bull sort of statue or something like that. And we were all like, "Oh no, you did it again, you bastard!" Because the last bull market, he came out right at the very top of the market, and he's like, "Life-changing events" and all that kind of stuff. So then, of course, there's guys wearing Gucci sweaters who are teaching courses on how to buy Bitcoin and how you get rich and charging absolutely horrendous prices.
And the
Um,
sad part is that people are buying it.
well, yeah, that's the worst part is you actually look at the audience, right? This is exactly what I talk about. Like you can go through my Twitter feed if you want. I'm not going to show you them. Certainly don't want to name names and stuff like that. That's just going to get me into trouble. But the point being that really part of your job as a professional, if you really want to do this and make money from trading, is you actually have to learn how to listen to the market. You really do. And those are the kind of tells. You can even write down when LTO CEO comes out all bullish, it's time to get the hell out. um, or
LTO
you
CEO
see.
comes out, it's time to GTO.
Right. And, there was one thing in particular that happened, which is just so cliche. It's almost painful when you hear it. But, while we were rallying up top here, the worst expression you ever want to hear if you're a bull
This time
is
it's different.
this time it's what?
Different.
And if you ever hear this expression, it's like literally the tell that, yep, this is the top. And just the simple fact that the uneducated are coming out and saying this time it's different because they want the orgy to continue. Maybe they're selling newsletters and they want more and more people to come in and buy their newsletter and buy their coin that they're shilling and all that kind of fun stuff. But like literally, the moment that you hear that, you have to go, oh crap. All right. Well, it was a nice run, but I can't buy anything more.
That was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Well, and the irony of the capitalism is the market's not going anywhere. It's just it has to clean up this excess. And we have one OG who, ironically enough, he even says to his audience, which I think is really good. And I have sort of liberated the this statement because it's just so apt. But Colin, I don't know whether he still does or not. I have no idea. But he often tells his audience, look, if you want to buy into a bull market in the education program, of course, we call this the first stop target. And
Yeah.
sometimes, and I'm not saying it can't happen here, because remember, I don't want to get into the business of predicting the future. I'm just going to simply follow price action and I will react. But sometimes we dip down and hit this 38.2. Have you heard me ever tell you in the past, you should at any time
Any given
expect
moment, you should
the
expect
market
it
to
to
come
go
back to
there.
38.2s.
Yes,
It,
sir.
it's just what markets do. So I like to call this, as I said, the first stop target, um, because sometimes the market will come down to this 38.2. And that's the first stop, but then maybe we have to go down to 50% levels. And then if the correction is really serious, we do things like 61.8s and 78.6s. And if the thing really is in trouble, we have to come all the way back down to like 88.6s. So reload zones and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes the first stop target is the only stop. And then, the market gets bullish again. We start putting in higher lows and higher highs, and we're right back into the bull mode. So at the very least, if you're watching this brand new, God, what the hell is all this crap he's going on about? What I'm just trying to impart on you is that at any given point in time, you should expect 38.2 retracements of whatever sort of the most recent big move is. It's just so normal, it's natural. So this, and what really bugs me is, like the legacy news departments, like the Wall Street Journal and stuff. When I go through, because TRI has sort of like a news matrix, so that at any given point in time, I like to just sort of see what the talking heads are going on about. And these guys, Wall Street Journal and like the Washington Post and all that, they're starting to talk about crypto crashing. This is not a crash. It just isn't. And actually, you want to see something really freaky? I'd have to show you on the trading view charts because it's a stock market thing. But, it turns out that the 1987 crash, it wasn't a crash. It was actually very normal, very healthy, very natural. I can just quickly show you. And unfortunately, I think that they are setting the market up for something like this now. But if we go way back when, see, and actually, Joe and I even looked at my internet speed. It turns out that it's my internet speed that sucks horse, you know what? So maybe we can migrate away from using my internet
Yeah, that's
in the
the
future.
plan.
Um, but if we go back, way back, all the way to 1987, which was sort of the last major stock market crash, if you will, it wasn't actually even a crash, right? There was the event. But ironically enough, very much what you're seeing out of Bitcoin right now. Um, I think you can make the argument that really all they were doing was just cleaning up the excess of the market. This is backwards, so I'll just flip this around. So, first stop target, and really, 50% rules, WD GAN. And was that really a crash, or was it just this market was stupidly overbought? People came in and said, well, this time it's different. And of course, they got their head handed to them. And ironically enough, all they did was just bring it back down to previous market structure.
That's just
Doesn't that
in
kind of
two
look,
weeks too.
huh?
That's just in 2 weeks, pretty much as
Bang, bang,
well.
bang. I guess like
Basically
3 weeks.
three.
And if
Yeah.
anything, this actually often happens. Like if you look at like the 2008 financial crisis, right? The market ultimately fell out of bed in October. And that's usually when markets like to crash. But from a technician's point of view, this wasn't a crash. This was actually perfectly normal, perfectly healthy. So if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, I hate to say it, folks, but this chart looks almost identical to that. Was that over here? Yeah.
There you go.
So could we just have a nice healthy pullback into 50% rules and it happens over a 2-3 week period and boom, we're done? Seems logical to me. It's not outlandish, Uh, and remember our moving averages, right? This is a weekly price chart. So, moving averages are still very bullish until these actually roll over. Well, you can see there's the bullish cross there. Until they roll over, I really wouldn't be thinking bear here. I would be thinking pullbacks are buying opportunities. So that's the way I'm looking at the Bitcoin price right now. First stop target. So what is that? That's 52 G's. You ever heard me use the expression BFRN?
Big fat round numbers.
Yeah. Is 52,000 around a big fat round number?
Yes, sir. Very close to one.
So
So
I might argue that, this
get to 50.
50,000 is probably going to act as some sort of big magnet here. I mean, $50,000 for one of these silly Bitcoins? I mean, 50 grand is 50 grand is 50 grand, eh?
Yeah.
Ugh, I mean, this is going to give you vertigo. What's also interesting, too, if we look at it from a fundamental perspective, I thought it was interesting, since we've done the halvening, This report was put out prior to the halvening, and what was sort of industry's cost to produce one Bitcoin. That's this image. This was done from Cantor Fitzgerald. Anyway, Hut 8 Mining Insights. And you can see all their cost basis is here.
Hmm.
So if we just halved, then that means there's Hut 8 right there, 20,500. Then I guess that means that jumps up to like 40,000 or 41,000. Does that make sense?
Does.
Riot here, they might be feeling a bit of pain, right? Because twice that would be like 62,000. Technically, they're actually underwater now mining. A lot of these names are. Wouldn't even be surprised if some of these names actually get put out of business or they, start sort of downsizing. But if,
Why is that? Just because of the happening? You
well,
said?
yeah, because remember this was done Q4 2023, right?
Yeah.
So here we are, Q2,
Two. Yeah,
right?
it started early Q2.
2024. So we just went through the halvening. So that theoretically means that all of these numbers should double.
Yeah.
So the payout has fallen in half. So, if that's the case, then, basically just multiply times two these numbers. And, I mean, this is like the gold industry. In fact, even that's what I even said in the tweet. So remember, I used to be a commodities broker.
That's true.
So I used to live this stuff every single day of the week of my life. How do you actually value commodities? And keep in mind, most of the public, they get destroyed trading commodities. Why? Because they come in and they buy after people have touted this stuff. What I would suggest you do is if you do want to buy, try and get long from where these guys are long because they're actually in the business of producing Bitcoins. So if I can be long at or below where they're long, then I've got a pretty good chance that I'm buying value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hope so. So, uh, back to our price chart, you notice that most of these guys, like the guys at the very top of the list, their cost of production now is this level. And then, as we said, Hut is sitting right there around 41,000. Isn't that interesting? Remember, we looked at that stock market chart, and all they did was they brought price back down to the most recent consolidation, right? Do we want to look at that again? Actually,
Yeah.
this is a pretty good reference for all of you. So, right, they had big run up, then a consolidation, then another move up, and they just blasted this thing down into 38.2s and 50%. And all they really did was just play with all of these lows in here, right?
Hmm.
So, do we see the same sort of kind of potential
Definitely.
consolidation zone on the Bitcoin chart?
Yeah.
It's quite
And that,
remarkable how consistent this is, eh?
I say even that consolidation's at another BFRN right around 40,000.
Yeah, that number there, the low is 38.5. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to take it that low, but again, let's not get into the business of predicting the future. All I'll simply say was coming in and buying Bitcoin at 70 plus thousand, that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be insulting. I'm sorry, but from a guy who's played this capitalism game, uh, people who came in and bought a chart that looks like that up top there, they almost deserve to have their money taken away from them. And it's a bit tragic because like Mr. Gucci sweater in his course and stuff like that. If you actually look at the audience, and all of these guys shilled out a lot of money for his damn course. They're all wearing like Hugo Boss T-shirts that cost like $500 a piece, that kind of thing.
Yep.
They're all relatively young guys. They're obviously feeling financially well off. And they have to actually learn this lesson the hard way. And that's actually one thing that I put out in a tweet here just recently was, you know, you can take the TRI course, and I think actually you're a good example. I don't, you might have to actually learn this the hard way. I hope not. I mean, only time will tell to hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one was a good example. I mean, I think I saw that you said that you had bought some assets and they had doubled in price. I
Yeah,
hope you were able to ring the register and pay
I
yourself. And
I was able to. Yes, I was investing last year and was able to on a handful of them.
good. So you actually did like sell halves on doubles and
Yes,
triples and
I
stuff.
did.
Good.
I've got a couple.
Yay.
Yeah, I've learned.
Means it. Yeah, well, I mean, the good part about it is you didn't have to go through the hard lesson of buying an asset, expecting it to go to the moon, and then I don't know, 6, 8 months later, the story reverses and it comes
Oh,
right back down to where you bought it, and it's like, well, that was a big waste of time.
well, see, it has, but that was before I started talking with you.
Okay.
So, so I have done that.
So the point here is, we do have a new school term starting soon. So if you want to learn this stuff, folks, what I'm actually stunned about this is the testimonials page. So, I'm always questioning myself. Am I actually making a positive difference? Am I actually facilitating change? Am I doing what JoJo and Spirit had asked me to do so many years ago? And then people are like, well, Brian, just go to your damn testimonials page. And, this speaks for itself. So, I mean, whether it be students who did videos with us or whether it be just people, and actually what's super cool about this page is when we were in Portugal, we did like actual interviews with people. These are awesome testimonials, I'll tell you. Really great, but tons and tons of reviews. So I think the answer is yes, I am getting through. And actually, maybe it might even be cool, Joe, if you feel like actually
I
doing one of these to tell us a little bit
definitely
about
will.
your sort of transformation. Do you feel as though you look at the market the same way as before you and I
Not,
chatted?
not even close.
Oh, good. So yeah, like I
So
said, I
I
would love to
definitely
have you
will.
part
I
of this.
would love
But
to give a testimonial for you.
yeah, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful that we're actually trying to make a positive difference in this world. So anyway, super cool. So, what you have to learn, unfortunately, is number one, if you're going to invest in something, try and buy against the bottom of the ranges, bullish divergence, W's in price, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yes, sir.
When the asset actually does start moving up, make damn sure to pay yourself. At the very least, try and establish risk free positions. And then that way, if the market does fall apart, so what? It's the market's money. Um, but I guess, really at the end of the day, what this all comes down to is, can you sort of undo all the damage that are, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Is it done on purpose, or is it just purely a function of the human species? But we have to get you people to stop this stuff. And you actually have to start listening to the market and start listening to all the tells that, uh-oh, we're getting near the end of this run. Be
Yep.
careful. And the worst part about it is when that actually starts happening, that's when the public is most euphoric, most bullish. So anyway,
Don't,
rant, rant,
like you
rant, rant,
said,
rant.
don't chase, don't chase, don't chase.
That's right. Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yes, sir.
2 words. Just say them
Yeah.
3 times in a row.
Yeah. Drives it home.
um,
Well, we do have a handful of
Have I talked this into the
tricky
ground? Does this
from the
kind
audience
of make
here.
sense here?
No, it does. I appreciate
Unfortunately,
it.
folks, I hate to say it, but this won't really be a buy. And let's just, we can move on to these other names. And sadly, we didn't even do a show last week because I was like, Until you actually start seeing W's on the other side of this trend line here, this isn't trending higher, it's trending lower. I don't know
Yeah.
how long that's going to take. It might take quite a while. I honestly don't know. And I'm not going to get into the business of predicting when that's going to happen. But, what probably is going to happen here and what would actually be beneficial is if we can actually get a pretty substantial pullback and then purchases down here, let's say we get a dump down into 20, 30,000. Well, then we can actually get a counter trend rally back up to 40, 50, 60,000. You can get another double off, right? And establish another risk-free trade. So we've got a really wide playground here. And as long as this looks emmy and we're below this trend line, there's no hurry to do anything here, folks.
Noted.
All right, so unfortunately, you're probably going to hear a lot of the names that you want me to look at. You're probably going to hear a lot of this same kind of conversation. And,
Yeah.
Joe, you and I think we first started working together when the charts
In
were
May of last
all the
year.
way down here.
Yep.
And, we might have, interestingly enough, that last cycle, actually, that downtrend line was fairly steep, which meant that, okay, there's the break of the trend line, there's the W on the other side of the trend line, away we go. Because this trend line is so shallow, I don't know how long this is going to actually take to resolve. It could take a while, folks. Just understand that. Okay, so we
To
can
be
move on
determined.
to stories. Don't be surprised if a lot of the names that you give me, I'm going to say, all right, well, there are reload zones, and you just need to be patient and wait for the market to come down into trade location. I mean, hell, if we do that on Bitcoin here, and use that basic
Yeah.
premise of reload zones, well, that would actually paint that as a buying window all the way down here. And how ironic, because this is where Mr. Fink came out exactly 1 year ago and said, I want my Bitcoin ETF. Wouldn't it be
Yep.
ironic that, like, 1 year later, we come right back to that exact same level? That would not surprise me one bit.
Gonna
So,
buy cheaper.
yeah, and unfortunately, like I said a moment ago, half of the reason why I didn't want to do a video last week was I'm going to be like, well, I'm not quite sure what to tell the audience. They're not going to like what I have to say. Anyway, here we are.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can make a positive difference in your people's lives.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, Brian. Well, let's take it away. The first one was FXS.
Frax.
Yes, sir.
Where's
Frac
Zoogie?
share.
Zoogie, where the hell did you go?
Slash USDT on they requested on Gate.io. So GTIO.
Yeah. My hunch is that there's a big fat M working here, and really we just got to cool our jets. This is actually a good one because fundamentally it's got a great story. Pop on the site and oh yeah, see it's looking. In fact, oh boy, that does not look good at all there. Um, that's too bad actually. It's a shame that we broke this low here. That's very unhealthy. That's disappointing. So, really good example of why you have to sell halves on doubles. Really, really good example. I think if I'm not mistaken, for our little old lady portfolio, we loaded up down here. Sold half when it got up into the $10 range, and then we've just sort of been cooling our jets. And really, I can't get bullish. I mean, look how long it took for these W's to develop, eh? So I
Yep.
can't get bullish on this thing until you actually start seeing W's again, which
The
is a,
longer the channel,
huh?
the longer the channel,
Mm.
the bigger the run.
Unfortunately, I don't really even see a price channel, right? What
Oh, I
I
thought
see
that's
is
what you were
just
saying there.
massive ski slope. So actually, it's kind of interesting. If anybody's out there talking to Zug, I wonder if Yeah, some sort of inside beat here. This, I tell you, technically speaking, that does not look good. I suppose the good part about it is this is a lower low. So what this says to me is we've broken through these lows. Actually, might be interesting just to do a horizontal line here. Actually no, maybe we haven't broken through those lows, but
But
and also too,
it's
remember
towing
this
the
was,
line.
huh?
It's definitely towing the line though.
It's flirting with disaster. Let's put it that way. From a pure supply demand perspective, you would have really liked to have seen the bulls step up here and defend this. So, if you are invested in something like this, try and ask what happened here the week of April 8th. Something, some sort of news, some sort of development. Did something go wrong with their network? That kind of thing. Did some insider come out and say something stupid like this time it's different? All that kind of talk. What I would just simply say is, I suppose the good part about this, well, let's try and spin this in a positive way. We are back down against the bottom end of the trading range.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have any bullish momentum behind it? Absolutely not. And probably if we look at our indicators, this thing won't actually tell us that it's starting to turn until we see some sort of bullish divergence out of our indicators. And nothing there. Is that a new M that's formed in momentum? Sure looks like it. So, this quite literally means that this is a new established downtrend in momentum right there. Ain't nothing to do on that bad boy there. Volume, we did have a bit of a top come in here. It's too bad because it looks like they were ramping this thing up. It was a bull. Woo! Gotta tell you, folks, this is such a good example of why you have to sell halves on doubles. If you did come in and buy at like $5-6 and it ran up to the better part of 11 here, 1085, 1077. So if you got long anywhere down here, especially off of these lows, rally all the way up there to 14, you really got to sell some, on doubles and all that kind of talk. In the short term, all I see is we're heading down. And if anything, what we have to see is, first off the lower time frames, we'd like to see some sort of signs of a bottom.
On that daily,
Um,
it looks like it did break through.
this one line
Yeah,
right
that
there.
bigger one.
If anything, what this looks like now we're on the daily chart. This looks like there was some sort of horrific news. Something hit this thing hard. Uh, it left a pretty sizable tail as we banged into these support lines and or what we this teal line, we call that horizontal support and resistance. Um, and it left a pretty substantial tail. Like what probably happened here was somebody was like, all right, we've got 1 million of these coins. We don't like this story. We're breaking through key support. Market sell. And they just ripped the order book. Any bids whatsoever, they just
See
sold
ya.
into those bids.
Yeah.
Then as soon as that entity was done their selling, it created a bit of a vacuum, and you can see how price sort of like jackknifed away from that area. So, that, and then of course, on this selling euphoria, a bunch of people actually got bearish and they probably sold into that. So that means they were trapped bears. So the market rolls over, comes back down. It gives these people that actually sold here, and maybe they were like, well, that wasn't a very good idea. I'm going to go and buy that position back. So that's actually what I see happening here. The problem on that perspective is, yeah, maybe that's a trade. But if we change this to a line chart, all of a sudden that W that looks like it's trying to form here, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So as long as this thing keeps making lower highs and lower lows, I don't see anything to be done here. And if anything, if you're looking for a place to put new money to work, I would definitely say just be patient and let's let the W set you free. Maybe what that means is down, we do get a counter trend rally, then we come back down and test this low, and then we turn back up and that W confirms. I would say caution is the better part of valor right now. And of course, seasonally, have you ever heard that crazy guy who wears a beer hat and is so terribly unshaven and
Sell in
looks like a
May and walk
bum?
away
Does he ever talk about the tough period of the market here?
between May and the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it.
This might even, I mean, and keep in mind the market is designed to screw us over as much of the time as possible. So that's half the reason why I sort of introduced that whole nanny nibbles, which of course is a shout out to our level 1 instructor Graham.
Mhm.
But the little old lady approach to investing. Because I would not be surprised that over this period, you get sort of repeated sort of head fake washouts that they try and con you into think that this thing has actually bottomed. But, in this case, if you buy this W, boom, you get stopped out here. Then you have to come along and buy this bottom, and then boom, you get stopped out here. But you look back, finally we get through this seasonally crappy part of the year. And, July 4th holiday weekends, people are feeling a lot more optimistic. And it turns out that's the W that sets the bottom. And then we start climbing the wall of worry. I would not be surprised that our bottom looks something like that. So, if you're one of those trader people, and I actually remember I used to have a conversation with a famous trader, Linda Bradford Radke.
Mhm.
And I used to ask her, how many shots would you take if you think that we're at a level and you're pretty convinced that this is the buy, but you have to take a few attempts. And she was like, well, usually I take like a couple shots. In this case, right, you might have to go one, two. You might have to actually wait, like be patient and disciplined and take three shots here before the damn thing turns up. And this is kind of why I think it's in your best interest to just let the market bottom. And then, really, this part, if you want to time your trades and be like monster trader and all that, then this is actually, you want to let the market bottom. Then you want to see how the market acts when it pulls back against these lows. And if it can actually turn back up uh, and not break that low, ironically enough, I've actually been trading this setup, although I got stopped out in the market today trading it. Boo, hiss, hiss, boo. But hey, it's a trader's life. Um, we'll follow. Let's see what I wanted to hear. Let's go. I would just really simply put throw on reload zone. Wherever that rally is, if you can get, we've now have confirmed bullish structure. If you can get that pullback back into the reload zone, that often represents a really, really good buy because you got a whole bunch of lows here to defend your trade. So if that's the case, you can see we're nowhere near this actually spitting up a buy signal. And I've said this to you over the past few months. Nothing will change here. With my thinking is this whole bottoming process is going to take probably a good month, maybe even a good couple months to actually play out. So, what's the general message? The general message is this thing broke down. It's looking bearish right now. But the good part about it is this is the only business when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. So if you are a bull of this FXS story and you like the fundamental story, then if you're a little old lady, then I would suggest just throwing yourself on a nice dollar cost averaging plan and just be nibbling away here, but don't get too wrapped up in the technical picture. It's still pointing down, right? Kind of this chart right here kind of looks to me like we're like similarly like right here. You see where my mouse is?
Yeah.
So making lower lows, lower highs. Are we cheap? Yes. Right? If we think things like trade location, are we at the bottom ends of ranges? I think I said earlier, didn't I say to you that I still think that this market is pullbacks are buying opportunities.
Yes, sir.
And especially if we look at something like this on a log scale, I think you'll understand what I mean by this. Let's see if I can just pull this up here. Let's flip this over to log first. There we go. And then we'll turn this around. Come on. There we go. Let's go settings. There we go. Right. So, Brian and his favorite fib. And interesting when you look at it from a log scale, you can really see how well defined this W was down in here.
Yeah.
So, we are in reload zones. So that's not bad. And as I said, if you're a little old lady, just throw yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan. And if anything, you're rooting for lower prices. And I might even make the argument that we could do A to B.
B, C to D.
Yeah. That'll probably give us a half decent objective here. So something like that. We're pretty darn, I mean, here we are now here, and that's right there. It's not that far away. So, do you want to wait for this ABCD to hit? You could if you wanted to. You're like, I'm a nanny nibbler, Brian. I know the rule. And what's Brian's second rule of investing? Let's see if Joe can remember any of this.
So never risk more than 5%
Excellent. Of what? What does that mean?
of your
5%.
hard-earned money. So don't put more than 5% in any one single idea.
And really, that's the amount of money that you have to work with, or what we call your stake.
Yep.
And ironically enough, that rule actually comes from Vegas, and it comes from the poker tables. So that's not even, ironically enough, it's not even a trading rule. That's a rule about money management, what they call bankroll management, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the point being that you're never allowed to break that rule. Do you really want to try and do you go all in with your 5% here? I don't think that's a good idea considering, I mean, can you see this cute little W right here?
Yeah.
If you see that kind of price action, then I can understand you going upping the ante, right? And that was in a reload zone, all that talk, right? But we don't see any W's here yet. Like I drew out, maybe it's going to look like this. I mean, this is what you would ideally want this to look like. And then at that point you go, show me a chart that looks like that. And I'll be like, damn, I want to buy that. Right now, this is at best nanny nibble kind of territory. A little old lady going to be just nibbling away. Or if you want to try and time your purchases a little bit better, and actually the market here is actually telling us what to look for. Remember when I said with Bitcoin, this thing won't be trending higher until we actually get a W on the other side of this trend line. So what we actually might find here is this thing does go and W out down here. But because this move was so dramatic, keep in mind that this is like $3-4 and that's $10. So that's like almost a triple.
Yeah.
So you might find that this thing actually just parks itself in a range as we work our way through all this election and all that bullshit. Then we get into 2025, we break out, we have Maybe an orange toupeed president. Is that possible? Maybe. And it puts in a W on the other side of the trend line, and then, oh, Nelly, look out. I could
Yeah.
see something like that. Could you sneak your way into a risk free trade just trading this range? You might even be able to do it a couple times.
Yeah.
It's totally possible. But I definitely think that, and I had said this earlier about Bitcoin. Uh, we have very well defined market structure tops working now here. So I don't think that this is a bull market anymore. At best, this is a trading range market.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, we have location. Then what's rule number 2 we look for? And how many rules, how many reasons should you have to justify taking a trade?
Location. Oh, so it's three.
Right.
First location
All
and
right.
then
So we've got
indicator confirmation.
location. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What's number 2?
Indicator confirmation.
So let's see. What do our indicators look like? We're trying to W. Oh, nothing out of RSI. Nothing out of Willie. And what does volume look like? Does volume look like it's going in or going out?
Down.
Yeah. Volume impetus, same thing. Lower eyes. So we don't really have a heck of a lot coming out of our indicators. And then once these indicators all look like they're starting to W out and point up, then we can start talking about what's reason number 3 we should have.
Market or price structure to frame an entry. So get
And
those
that's
W's.
that's like all this W talk. So we're in location. We're waiting for the indicators to turn back up. And then at that point, we can start hunting W's.
Yes, sir.
All right, what do you think? Did we do that name justice?
I think we did.
All right.
Got
Do you
another one.
want do you want this price chart? I don't know.
Yeah, might as well.
All right. Let's maybe just stretch that.
Adam commented, "Hey guys, I'm at the Boston Red Sox game in Boston. I'll catch you later. So enjoy the game."
In Boston. Wow, that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. That's the other side of the continent for that guy.
Yeah. Long flight.
Obviously, he's taken his riches.
Someone sold half on a double.
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's some coins Adam's traded. It's almost hilarious the way Adam's trading this stuff. He's a total boss now.
yeah,
The
I
number
see him
one
in the
issue for Adam though is he's got next door neighbors that he's responsible for, so he has to make damn sure that they don't go and blow themselves up. You're on the hook, Adam. All right,
That's
where are you, Joe? There you are. All right, we'll put that chart in there.
cool.
Interesting. That you don't want that. Let's go copy link.
Yeah.
All right, so it's thinking. Remember, this is a horrible internet that I have. Joe's, I think, upload speed is like something like 10 times my speed.
Yeah. It's I mean I'd hope so. I pay for the best internet.
Well, you also live in a house too, right?
Yeah.
I live in communist China, where we all live in prison cells in these horrible apartment complexes. Because the price, well, actually, we were even talking about real estate in your neighborhood too. It's pretty
It's
darn
on
expensive.
this
Eh?
whole coast.
Yeah, look at that. It's still waiting.
Yeah.
Holy moly, this could take a while. While we're waiting for that, why don't we see if we can pop on over to the next name and maybe
Yeah.
we'll circle back.
Next one. We've talked about this next one in the past, but Zen Horizon.
I like
ZE.
that. That's another name that I'm long.
Yeah. I do own some of this as well.
Unfortunately, with a lot of these names this last cycle go round, there were names that did double, but because of the really weird situation that I had with working with the ledger and stuff like that, I wasn't flexible enough to be able to move coins and book doubles and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of depressing, but oh well, it is what it is. So I think this is a name where, if we just look at it on a regular scale, you see, look at these cute little W's down in here. huge rallies, just beautiful rallies. Look at that. Isn't that, do you find that even slightly coincidental? That the double bottom breakout there is, what is that? Let's call it $8.90. We'll be generous, right? It looks like it's 8 3/4 or so. And look where the top is. I mean, do you think that's an accident that as soon as we got up into $18 area,
We went
this
right back
thing just
down.
ran into a brick wall of selling? Do you think
Nope.
that's an accident? I don't.
Nope.
So this one's probably better than the Frax because you can clearly see this guy has a lot of horizontal support and resistance. For whatever it's worth, I think there is a fortune to be made on this coin. But that's just my opinion.
Not
Doesn't
financial
really mean
advice.
anything. And at the end of the day, if you buy this name, you do it on your own decision. I've told all of you repeatedly, I have no vested interest whatsoever in whether you buy or sell anything in the market, and I never will. The reason why CZ actually got himself into trouble there was because of the horrific conflict of interest that a lot of these crypto people get themselves into. So and CZ, I think, to all intents and purposes, him getting convicted here, I think, he will now be a convicted felon. So he has to carry that for the rest of his life, although it probably doesn't really mean a hell of a lot to him. But good luck in getting a credit card.
Yeah.
All those kind of little things. Down in
Yeah.
the States, oh my goodness, if you're a convicted felon, you can't do anything. You can't even get a job at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point that I would just make is I love this name. And keep in mind, look at the price, $8. What were the old highs? Like we talk about
Like
cycle.
168, I think.
I mean, they're
Up
just
there once.
insane. I mean, look at that. It goes right off the price chart. I don't even know if we can show you my terrible internet connection here. I mean, look at that. Is there any money to be made on this thing? Oh my goodness. So, like, this is all open air up here. The key is, and actually, this is a really good lesson in this. Watch what
Is
happens.
it?
Remember, I told you about Bitcoin and trend lines, right?
Yep. W on the other side of it.
All right, so look at this. We'll draw just a really simple trend line. I don't have an opinion. I haven't even looked at the right-hand side of the screen. All I'm looking at is this. This high to this high. Confirmed. This market structure is confirmed when the market trades below this price down here. Let's try and do that again. Let's go with this one. All right, when the market trades below that low right there, boom. This trend line is now valid, active, and paramount on this event right here, way down here. So let's fast forward to today. Let's see what's happening. Did we get a W on the other side of this trend line? And look at what happened here. Isn't this incredible? And look
Mm-hmm.
how long. Remember, I had said Bitcoin's got a pretty shallow trend line. And it might take a long time for Bitcoin to break that trend line. I mean, look how long this took. This 2021. Here we are, 2024. And all we've done is we just came back to the trend line. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
So we punched through it. And of course, this is exact moment when what was the public saying right up here?
This time it's different.
And you tell me, just based on our simple what we just said there a second ago. This isn't a bull until it W's out on the other side of this trend line. So, was this time really any different?
Nope.
It's just the same shit. They just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, the good part about this is now we are on the other side of that trend line. Oh, thank goodness. So if we can now get a W over here, at least we've lost this trend line. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, because of this market structure, they actually have a new trend line forming. So I don't think this thing's a bull until we actually get a W on the other side of this trend line. But you can see how close we are. So this is, sadly, it's actually very much like Frax. Um, I think you could make the argument that there were some cheap ass levels. I mean, if you just look at this image, notice how we basically came right back down against the lows there, right? Look at that. Isn't that incredible how this works? So, there is the low right down there, right? And look what we're doing here. In fact, it might be interesting just to zoom in, see where we are in relation to that. That's this line here. Look how the market put in. Look at this beautiful W right on that damn line. Then another W. Remember I had said, oh, actually, no, that was this one, but same sort of thing. So beautiful little W there produced wicked rally. Beautiful W's here produce wicked rallies. So, and ironically enough, this is all in the context of an existing downtrend. Um, so another beautiful example right there. And I think, like if you were looking for a trade for 2024, that really sort of typified what this sort of crypto bull market was like for 2024. I think this is actually a really, really good example. Because a new person to trading that only pulls up this price chart,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just even say, right? I guess I can't get rid of this stuff over here. Let's see. Can I do this? Let's just do an experiment. Will this work? Survey says. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, cool.
Whoa.
Oh, maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. All right. So if all they saw was that, right, and this thing was down here. Oh, you're not supposed to see that.
I'm not looking.
Anyway, if this thing was down here and it did this W and it started breaking out and running up, you'd go, wow, what a bull market. We're going to get rich, kind of idea. Like,
Yeah.
wow. And then, and this is it, right? This is exactly when these kids are going, this time it's different. And look at what happens on the other side. Oh, crap. They took it all right back. What a beautiful. You better be selling halves on doubles, triples, whatever. I mean, you just have to. You have no choice. This is
Yeah.
venture capital, people. This is exactly what venture capital does. And then ironically enough, it just like have you ever seen me do those bar chart sort of fractal images where I say, if the
Yeah.
universe is a fractal, then we should probably, like kind of like think head and shoulders, right? The bar pattern.
Yep.
Be really interesting just to do this. And then let's flip that around. And let's just overlay it here and see how close like reality was. So there's the price action. Now let's see how close reality is. Oh, not bad, eh?
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? This is the great stuff that if you really fancy yourself a technician, then this is the kind of stuff that you have to learn. I mean, that's shocking how similar that is, eh?
It really is.
So the point being that we need to see W's now over here, but because we have this established trend line now, uh, we actually have to see W's on the other side of this trend line. And interesting how I did that, right? The whole sort of bar chart. And look at what happens here, right? We're supposed to rally now, and I do kind of like the idea that the sort of the Fed sell the rumor, buy the news, the whole risk market, like literally everything, stock markets, crypto, commodities, everything sold off into this Fed meeting today.
Yep.
So, if anything, if you're a crypto fan, you should actually look at that and kind of go, well, maybe that's actually a good sign. that they're not dumping crypto because of crypto. They're dumping crypto because CZ's going to jail. Well, does that really have anything to do with Zen? Does that have anything to do with Bitcoin? Does
No,
Bitcoin give a rat's ass whether Roger Ver is going to rot in some Spanish cell because of tax evasion? Does
not in the
Bitcoin care?
slightest.
Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No, I said not in the slightest. People don't care.
Yeah. The only thing that
Or
Bitcoin
Bitcoin doesn't
cares
care.
about, the only thing that matters to Bitcoin, and I have to, if you're relatively new to this, you have to understand this. The only thing that matters, the only thing is this price has to stay above these guys' levels. And like I said, because of the halvening, these numbers are multiplied in two. But Bitcoin must stay above these levels. That's the only thing that matters. So sadly, in this kind of environment, when you have Bitcoin 60, 70 Gs, it sort of sets up almost like a perfect storm. Well, and I might even argue, I don't know what the fundamental story is around Zen. All I know is, gnarly technician that's playing this game for 30 years and knows that our cycles, if you're a fan of cycles, this cycle ultimately ends up coming to fruition somewhere around here. What is our keep us honest indicator? What is the natural level that most markets should retrace to?
The 50%.
All right. So that means if this is our cycle peak, when everybody should be most euphoric when it comes to things like the cost of money, and we're not even going to ask for new all-time highs. All we're going to ask is, can I just see a natural, healthy 50% bounce? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, my friends, from
10x.
$8, that number is $87 or 10x your money. That's how you get rich in this world, playing this stupid game of capitalism. So, is it technically a buy today? No. And I had said this about the Frax, and I even said this before we even looked at any of the names. I doubt any of the names that we look at today, I'm going to sit here and go, holy crap, that's a buy. I got to buy that thing now. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to be seeing that. But having said that, is this appropriate location for us to think about buying?
Yes.
We'll just do our. Keep in mind these tools that I use. Number one, I didn't invent them, so it's not like this is some sort of voodoo that the Beamish is coming up with. This is just time tested stuff. So there is our reload zone, green boxes, all that kind of fun talk. So I think you can make the argument, the same thing as we said before. If you're a little old lady and nanny nibbler, there's a level. Looks pretty good. Coming in at the bottom end of the range. Is this thing an outright buy today? What we would call it was we'd say it's a pound the table buy. So that comes from like board meetings where guys at the board, right? The board of directors, a guy would pound the table. I expect this, right? And, like if you're trying to make a sales pitch, you pound the table.
Yeah.
Is this a pound the table buy signal? No. Is it cheap? I think so. What was our 3-step process? Number one, we want
Location.
Okay, so we have location. That's a good sign. And actually, it's kind of encouraging that in like literally a month, I guess about a month and a half, they took this thing from absolutely insane, actually kind of overvalued, to right back down to actually relatively attractive. That's a good sign, I think. Indicator confirmation number 2. Do we have indicators telling us This thing is in bullish divergence. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope. Where the hell are the buyers? There's just like no buyers here. So we're stuck at, we've got a trade location. Now we need to see the indicators start to W out. Then we need to see W's in price. That might all happen in here. Ideally, right? Remember Brian and his crazy W's on other sides of trend lines. What I'd like to see is this W confirms, right? Then we get, and we've got a break of the trend lines. Then we get a nice consolidation, and away we go. Again, you can see this sort of rosy forecast. I think it's probably a little too optimistic. That would put our breakout somewhere around the middle of June. Yeah, that's probably about right. Something like that. You can see how long this bottom took to develop. I wouldn't be surprised if this bottom that we see coming now takes about the same amount of time. So, yeah, oh, look at that. Not bad. It's about around the middle of June. That's when I would be looking for this thing to turn. And keep in mind, I mean, this thing is ridiculously cheap. They're giving this thing away. So, anyway. All right. Hopefully that. Actually, you know what would be really cool is, what do you think the odds are this was 2.618 off of this bottom? I bet you pretty good.
Pretty high.
Yep. So cliche. It's actually just business as usual. No, folks. There was nothing different about any of this. This was not different. This is just capitalism 101. Actually, I think, don't they teach that at Oregon State? Part of your MBA program, right?
About capitalism?
Do they teach you anything? Have you ever?
No.
I think you even said that you were going to show some of your classmates some of the stuff that I'm teaching you.
I've showed them. I'm trying to get some of them to join your program.
I'll tell you that this is an
down.
image. This would actually be a really good image to show your buddies. Well, even put it on the site and all that kind of stuff. This would be a really good image to illustrate everything I'm trying to teach you. Guys, you got the fog and bombs. I did a tutorial for you on that. How do you explain why the market stopped where it did? You've got obviously W's and price structure. You've got reload zones. You got the moving averages. I mean, this is, I mean, as buy signals go, this pivot right down in here. Can you see the moving averages? How they all clustered and then turned back up?
Yeah.
Right off of that W down at a reload zone down here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you literally can't textbook this any better. And you should be, and really, I would argue, why aren't they teaching this stuff in schools? I mean, this is everything that we should be teaching the kids.
True.
Is there any?
I wish.
Is there any part of our society that actually maybe they don't want the public to know about this stuff?
Yep.
And so it's purposefully left out of the education programs so that the public doesn't learn this?
Yeah, I can
that's
see
a bit
it.
of a rhetorical question, eh? So anyway, it's just business as usual.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I gave you that chart. Let's see whether we can actually dude up this chart now. Copy link.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that. So I think that this is primarily my internet. That's the problem here. And the sooner we get you doing OBS and all that kind of stuff, probably the better.
Yeah. That won't log down your computer.
Yeah.
By running OBS. Agreed.
All right. And I hope the audio's better today.
Yeah. How's the audio today? I purchased some other stuff to help streamline it a little better. So I haven't had anyone saying that it's bad, but give us a thumbs up if yeah, cough.
Yeah, we just
Big
got to
House,
get
is
through
the
some
audio
idiot's
better?
birthday. Now, remember, just because the birthday happens, that doesn't necessarily mark some sort of, crystal ball bottom. All it is just generally whenever we get close to Brian's birthday, you should be sort of like, well, I better, if you can. Obviously, it's too late on a lot of these names now. But if you're sitting on a double or a triple and you haven't taken some profits, for heaven's sakes, and you see that this Beamish guy's barking about, oh, here comes my birthday, be careful. Hopefully, all of you, please learn from this. And if you need help learning, if you need help in the process, that's what our
We know a
school is
guy.
all about. I have to say, we've been doing this for 10 years now. I've got a decade of experience teaching people now. That's ridiculous. In fact, I think
Hmm.
I've taught trading longer than I used to teach tennis. I used to teach tennis to like thousands of people all over the lower mainland. Now all I do is I teach trading. But anyway, it's a fun vocation. All
That's awesome.
right. What should we hit at next?
All right. Next,
Have you
we
enjoyed this
got,
conversation tonight? Is there any
I
value?
have, I got two more names here for you,
All right.
but it is ZRX slash
The
USD.
Z names. God, I remember ZRX from forever ago. What do we
Go
want to look
to
at this one?
Coinbase, CBSE,
Coinbase. So that's
Upcoin. There we go.
CBSE.
Yeah, to USD.
ZRX. So this is versus dollar, not tether. And
Yeah.
actually, I wouldn't be surprised before the end of all of this that we have some more tether FUD. I think it's a little overdue. We haven't had any tether FUD in quite a while. So that's just old gnarly veteran crypto guy who's been in this space for a decade. Um, I could very easily see a big whack of tether FUD in our future.
Yeah.
We usually get it. Okay, so obviously you can see the bigger, longer time frame, higher sort of time frame bottom here, right? If we change this to a weekly chart, that's actually a good sign. Looks like there's a couple W's working here. Yeah, there you go. So you can clearly see where the bottom is, right? And the good part about this is once I've corrupted you, you can't unknow this now. So all of you, including you, Joe,
Hmm.
you should really start your analysis. And I think I remember when I first talked to you guys, I said, always start at the higher time frame charts and then drill down. It'll help you really put things into context. So interesting. 1, 2, 3. Break. Give me a W on the other side of the trend line. Looks like down, up, down, breakout. Then another one down. In fact, actually, the big W. Look at this cute little W right in there.
Yeah.
So this is sort of like your trader's trade right there. Awesome level right there. And let's see, what did this number? That was 40 cents. Call it 41. And we got as high as $1.44. So were you able to sell half on a double? Looks like it.
Sure hope so.
Were you able to sell half on a triple? I don't think you quite got a triple out of that, did you? 40,
Might have.
80, 120. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So look at that. This is a situation where you could have gotten that sell half on a triple, but damn, that window sure closed quickly, eh? Zip, zip. All right, that's gone. See you later. So
Gotta
that's
have
why,
those
this,
orders working.
pardon me?
Gotta have those orders working.
Yeah. And of course, and this is on Coinbase, so you should have been able to do that. And if anything, that's half the reason why this thing probably went straight up, straight down, was because there were so many sell orders here
Yeah.
that just quashed the bull. So, from this perspective, I mean, you can clearly see where the longer term structural bottom is. It's basically at that, well, this one says, yeah, 38. Let's call it 39, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Then you had your little daily buy signal here come in at around 40. So I think we can clearly see where value is on this name. I think it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, we can do things like draw reload zones, right? There, let's go all the way back to there. And oh, hello, look where we made it back to. 42 cents is Brian's favorite fib. And of course, that's the reload zone right in there, right?
There we go.
Uh, I think, unfortunately, though, this looks like another one of these trading range markets. Why do I say that? Notice there is actually your downtrend line. Notice up, down, up, fail. So this now has a fast trend, and that would be there to there. So within this trading range, notice, is this a buy on this break of this trend line here?
No.
Why?
Because it's going up.
Well, what is it that we need
But
to see on the other side of a
a
trend line?
W on the other side of the trend
All
line.
right. In fact, it even fractaled out. Nice 3-bar fractal. New sell signal. Boom, down we go.
Yep.
Was this a buy here?
It's daily looks like it could be a W.
Not on the other side of the trend line.
Oh yeah.
So we rallied into moving average resistance, railroad tracks, sell signal, back down we
See
go.
ya. Yep.
We are on the other side of this trend line, though, aren't we now?
We are.
So I think you could make the argument if we can somehow put in a W. Hello, look at what we have here. Down, up, down, breakout. Not bad. What this means is we would buy that level there and risk to a break of that low there. And we want to shoot for like 2-to-1s, which is basically nothing more than a test of that horizontal support and resistance line. Right? Remember, that was the railroad tracks that all these guys, hey, I'm a bull. No, no, I'm not. So interesting how that is the 2-to-1 profit objective, just simply a test of those highs. But unfortunately, this signal does get negated if we blast through this low here, right?
Yep.
This is probably a good example that, TA works, setups, let's call them 60, 70% of the time, somewhere in that neighborhood. So the market tried to break out. It's pulled back. Of course, you had all the broader market FUD there. Roger Ver, CZ, all that kind of talk. I don't know about these ZRX guys. I don't know the fundamental story there, so I can't really comment on that. This might also be a good example that you let that W come in, then you draw a fib off of this range here to here, and you hunt reload zones to sneak in off of that range. Remember I showed you earlier, I can't remember what name it was. Maybe it was the Frax, that we wanted to let the W come in and then we would start hunting entries. So that's kind of the same thing here. This is an interesting tail because it does mean that we've come down into this area. Notice these tails here. Anybody who is trying to defend this thing, they bought. That's what tails implies, is that the market ran out of sellers and somebody bid this thing back up. So the fact that we just did that again into this tail, you remember these are a whole bunch of trap bears in here and they would love to get released. Market dips down into that level and they just go and all buy it back up, and it creates, what do you remember what kind of candlestick pattern that is?
Is that a spinning top
No,
or a doji?
no. Good
No.
try. That's called a hammer.
Oh, a hammer.
And do you see how it kind of
Let me
looks like a
see.
hammer?
Yes, I can see
Yeah.
that.
There's the top of the hammer, and this is the handle. So hammers technically are bullish. The key here, of course, is that what we really need to see to confirm that this thing has turned is, can we get a trade up through the high of the hammer? So this isn't a bad trade idea. Remember, I had said that I thought earlier the whole market was selling off into that Fed announcement, and it just felt like they were just kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater there. I mean, that Bitcoin market just collapsed, eh? And the irony of it all is, it did it collapse because, oh God, the U.S. government is outlawing Bitcoin, or it turns out that actually all of the code of the Bitcoin was a fraud from day one. Was there any reason based on Bitcoin itself why Bitcoin price was falling there? No, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
It was all sort of ancillary stuff. So, same sort of thing here. I mean, I don't know the fundamental story here, but I get the distinct impression when I look at this that this thing sold off because the whole crypto market was selling off, and probably not really because of the actual coin itself. It could be wrong. But if this hammer does fire here, I actually think it sets up a really, really low risk entry. So you're going to buy the break of the hammer. Oh, Jesus. I'm hungry too. I haven't had any dinner, so I'm starting to get a bit frustrated. But you're
We'll
going
wrap up here
to
soon.
buy the break of that hammer. You're going to risk down to these lows, right? Right in this reload zone. So that's a good location. 2 to 1, sell halves on 2 to 1s, get that risk-free trade. That's nothing more than just a test of this high. So if this bottom does hold and the market turns back up and breaks through these highs, then you actually get off 2 to 1, put your stop at scratch on the remainder, and you might have a really, really cute little long trade there. But also notice too, that would be based on like wicks and tails.
Mm-hmm.
If we change this to a line chart, notice our W, it just
See
disappeared.
ya.
So, if anything, what this probably tells me, and again, it's the same thing as everything else we've said here tonight, looking for this to bottom right now at the very beginning of May, probably not the best idea. Could this take through, you might even find, slick traders. Yeah, that was a bit of a catalyst. Market was going straight down. We get our bounce that confirms this wick and tail double bottom. But then we have to come back down and actually test this low and actually put in like an actual clothesline W here, right? Test these lows. These lows hold on a clothesline basis. Then we turn back up and away you go. I could see that. And again, that, this rosy scenario would suggest that this market turns the end of May. I wouldn't even be surprised if this has to even take through the month of June. And we just do back and forth kind of idea. And, if you hunt reload zone
Yeah.
pullbacks on all of these moves up? I think so. But it wouldn't surprise me if over this period, May, June, we ultimately end up swooning here. And we are, as you had, well, at least I had pointed out earlier, we are back down into what I would consider a very attractive trade location.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, we have trade location. You notice that on all of the names that we've looked at here tonight, we have that first criteria that I require to get bullish. But right now, I mean, let's look at our indicators. Are any of them in divergence? Interesting. This one is to a certain degree on
Yeah.
MACD. There's no buying interest here whatsoever. So that in itself has got to be a tell. Be careful. No divergence on RSI, and Willie's just sort of muddling along here. So a little bit of a MACD div. I suppose if we could break out through this, that would confirm a wick bottom, like we said, which would be constructive. And then, if anything, what we really want to see is a nice clothesline W And then we'll know that this thing's ready to go. All right, what do you think? Does that make
Sounds great.
sense?
It does.
All right. I'm not quite sure what kind of chart we could give you here.
Sounds good. Well, if you want to give me that screenshot of it, and then
Yeah, I'm trying to
maybe
figure
we
out what
wind
would
down a
be.
little early uh, today here.
Well, you said we had one more name to look at?
But yes, the final one was uh,
Let me just
K.
dude this up and then we'll move on to that. It's an interesting location. No doubt about it. So we don't need this stuff. You know, we need is like a little pre-formatted box, location check, waiting on indicator
Yeah.
confirmation. You could also even use the moving averages to help you with indicator confirmation. You can see they're still very bearish. And we don't have price structure yet. So hopefully what you're all hearing is that we have a theme going here tonight. Yes, price is cheap, but that's not enough of a reason unto itself to actually expect a bull market. Okay, well, we'll let that load, maybe circle back when it's finished loading, and let's throw on the final name du
Final name
jour.
was KNC. This is Kyber Network.
Where do we want to look at this?
Go to Coinbase again.
Coinbase. So that's
CBSE. There we go.
versus USD. Notice Coinbase doesn't do the whole tether thing, eh?
They ditched it. They're going to the
Yeah, it wouldn't
USDT.
surprise me if Tether's days are numbered. So be careful, everyone. Here's with this one. The first thing that I see that jumps out at me, top end of the range, bottom end of the range. We are in a trading range. That's what it really looks like. If you were relatively slick, you bought this W here. Nice. Right there. If you were slick, you bought this W right here. Nice. Really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose it might have been a bit early, but yeah, man, if you had balls of steel, maybe you bought that little W there. That's a tough one, though. I don't know. That might be a bit hard. If anything, I almost think, our conversation about trend lines, I think, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So doink, doink, doink. Came back. Oh, I would have really liked that to have been a bottom. But I think that ultimately actually is your bottom way over there. But this kind of looks like a trading range. So yeah, bottom end of the range. Actually, maybe we'll even go off of that either. So like there. Not really a big surprise. This thing's bottom, turn, reload zones. But sadly, what this also means, like if we go here to here, that this is a selling zone up top here, like so. And I would say that because we did take out that high going forward, and now actually we even have this nasty low here, I think you're probably going to find that resistance is there. In fact, actually, here, let's go clone this. So you can see repeated stabs into this area. I'm not quite sure where this comes from. Let's see. Yeah, This to me looks like it's a pretty solid trading range for the time being. It does look like it was trying to make, well, is that a lower low? Kind of looks like it, eh? Yeah. So, I think at best we're stuck in a trading range. We're down at the bottom end of the range now. So, if you are thinking about putting new money to work, it's not a bad, terrible neighborhood. So once again, we do have trade location. But that's about it for now. I can't imagine the indicators are pointing up. Yeah, kind of wishy-washy. Nothing there. Nothing.
No.
Well, a little bit of a W there. It's not bad. OBV, where are the buyers? That's a little concerning. Is this thing? Well, you can see it's trying to turn. And if you got a big whack of buyers that came in here and forced a W to come in there, that wouldn't be terrible. So, what's MACD look like? MACD looks sloppy here, right?
Yeah.
It is a W. So, down, up. We won't go through the whole thing, but you can see there is a W there. So it's not terrible. So you're getting a bit of momentum turn. Some people kind of like to follow trendline breakouts of RSI. I might say if we W out here through that 50 line, then we're probably turning. So it's not bad. Still think though that this thing looks like it's in a trading range. Really a good analogy of that trend line concept. So we rallied back
Yeah.
to the trend line. Now what we need is a W on the other side of this trend line, eh? So once again, this is literally what, like 3 for 3 or 4 for 4.
Yeah.
We've got trade location. This one's a little bit further along in that MACD is actually in divergence, so that's good. We don't really have anything of RSI and nothing really dramatic out of Willie here. And I just don't see the buyers. If the buyers step up and you see this done on volume and we break out and we put in any kind of bullish structure over here, eh, it's probably going to be a trading range trade where it will once again revisit the top end of the range. Can you get a double off here? Interesting how it looks like 50 cents is the bottom end of your range. And oh, what a surprise! $1 is the top end of your range. So I get the impression that the smart money bought at 50 cents, sold at $1. Bought at 50 cents, sold at 90 cents. Well, what's that low? 49. Oh, just missed their double. I bet they were all pissed off.
Yeah.
Comes back down into that original bottom area. Now we're going to get our goddamn W, you bastards, whether you like it or not.
Yes, sir.
And then instantly, when they get their W, bang, they
Back
just
down.
bitch slap it and smoke this whole bottom here. So there's a good example where, M's and W's. I thought M's and W's, Brian's, they work like all the time. No. If anything, this is probably like a weekly W that got smashed. Now, is this a W within a W? Because keep in mind, it did try and W way over here, and the bottom of that W is that low there. So this is like a W within a W, and they just smashed this W inside this W. But yeah, I would totally reiterate what I said before. We're in a trading range. And if we look at this entire history on Coinbase, there's your high, there's your low, there's your reload zone. Fascinating how all they're doing is they're just banging it around in this reload zone. That's all that's going on. I might argue that this thing could be a little susceptible to some effery here. The whole damn market is.
Ain't that the truth?
I'd really like to see W's over here, please. I don't really see a W yet. What I see is they're bringing it back down to test the bottom end of its range. You could even argue that this is the uptrend because this number here was taken out there, eh? So there is your uptrend. Oh boy. Smashed it. If we actually get an M that forms here, that's not a good sign. And keep in mind that the downtrend lines off of this peak here that was confirmed here, they could actually suggest that, oh, what a big surprise. We got to come all the way back down and we got to eat this tail down here. So, I certainly wouldn't pound the table. Oh my God, this thing's going to go screaming up tomorrow. What I would say is if you want to play the trading range, great. Just understand if you are playing that trading range and it could hurt a little bit because you bought in size, if we break this low, you better just hop off and just let this thing settle down. Or you want to wait, considering my repeated warnings about what happens in May and June. You just want to wait and, okay, let's see. Number one, can this thing actually W out on the other side of this downtrend line? Which I just showed you, this downtrend line here. Can we please get a W on the other side of it? And then it'll be a question of can we recapture this uptrend line? Frankly speaking, I don't know. It's a little bit early to predict what's going to happen. And what's concerning is notice how the moving averages have crossed over bearishly here, right at that trend line. So what that means is not only does the trend line itself represent resistance, this is a good example where what once was support now actually becomes resistance. And notice how those moving averages are also too going to be significant resistance. Is this thing going to update for me? Come on, you can do it.
Thinking.
All right, well, maybe not. Let's see if we can get this chart printed, and then we'll see whether that comes back. Oh, now that's frozen. So, I think as we've sort of said, I think our conclusion tonight is Brian's internet sucks horse you know what. All right, so this did come back to the daily chart now. There is that downtrend line. I think what we need to see if you are a bull is can we please get some sort of W to form here? If we do, then you can kind of see A, B, C, D. That's going to take us back up into trendline resistance and probably also horizontal support and resistance level here. Notice that is the big M. So there's your brick wall of resistance right around 70 cents. And as this thing is sitting right here on the daily chart, there is no W's here. I think if anything, what you really want to see is you want to see some sort of market structure down in here that says that the selling has stopped. And I don't see that yet. So, big hurry up and cool your jets. Wait, once again, though, fascinating how we keep seeing this. We are technically in trade location.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing has W'd out at exactly these levels in the past. So if the story is as good as it was in the past, we should see a W form here over the next month or so. So keep your eyes peeled. And what a surprise, we keep having the same. I think we've literally had the same conversation here about all of these names here tonight. Good trade
Yep.
location. Don't have that much indicator confirmation yet. And because we don't even have the indicator confirmation, we're not even ready to start talking about price structure. Make sense?
Beautiful. Yes, sir.
Oh, look at that. 6:59.
There we go.
So
Right on the dot there.
we usually like to have these things a good couple hours, eh? So if anything,
Yeah,
hopefully that worked.
did. Well, thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate your insights, and I know that speak for the audience that they appreciate you as well for making a positive difference in the world. Be sure to
You
those
can
watch
follow me
check.
here over on X or whatever hell this thing's called now. We also have TRIPMA, which is kind of like the sites, um, um, the sites feed, a little less salty, if you will. And some really good resources there. And then also my personal feed, CR Investor, just stands for the Canadian Rational Investor. A little bit salty, so if you're sensitive, maybe just follow the TRIPMA. Pop on over the site, of course. You want to learn a little bit more about what we do in our community and stuff. I think the team has put together a really good resource for you to learn a little bit about us and what we do. We have a new school term starting here relatively shortly. So if you really want to learn how to uh, build and effectively run a small business of trading, I don't think there's any better resource on the net for you. But of course, I'm slightly biased, right? You want to hear from the horse's mouth. These are our students. These are our customers. There's Adam. Yeah, you know how much you love Adam. I think Joe likes Adam a bit.
Adam's a great dude.
You know, if you want to learn, and these are like generations of TRIers. Like these guys, they've been around since day one at TRI. Especially this guy here. He's been around since forever. We have our Romanians. We have, for some reason, we really appeal to the Romanians in the world. um, so, you know, pop on over, take a gander at our school program. If you want to learn how to be a better trader, I think there's no better resource for you. And if you want to just kick the tires a little bit, you want to sort of see what we do, you can join us for a free trial and come and participate in the community. And maybe that in itself encourages you to, at the very least, just join the community and our regular site membership. So.
Amen.
Okay, wanted to get in a quick shill there because we do have a
Oh,
school program coming up here shortly, and you know, might as well try and fill as many seats as
those who
possible.
have follow our newsletter, been putting you guys in there
Good. Yeah,
for
you
it.
told me recently that you got your newsletter writers team to add us a little bit into the
Yep.
newsletter, so that's
And
good.
so
How
got you
do they
again
sign
there.
up for the newsletter here? Where is that?
That is when you sign up for an account on
Okay.
Coinigy. So
Is it
when you're like creating
Insights?
the account,
What's the name
Insights
of
is
it?
our blog, so our newsletter does go there to insights.coinigy. Um
Oh yeah,
and
I saw you posting about Eminem the other day.
yeah,
Yeah, good timing there, Eminem. Way to go.
yeah.
Be sure to sign up for Coinigy's newsletter.
And
And
keep an
if you,
eye on our blog for tomorrow. We'll be sending one out about that, the crypt. And then starting Monday is when we'll be doing our uh promotion for Coinigy's 10th birthday that's coming on Monday. So
yeah, definitely. So, you know, like, give me that link and I'll send it out too. And if I'm not mistaken, I think TRI students, they also enjoy a bit of a discount with you guys as
yes,
well, don't they?
sir. TRI students do. I will throw that in the chat after this,
Yeah, cool.
their promo code.
Okay. So were there any of these charts that we didn't? I think I posted that one. That's the ZRX. How about this KNC? I think we still were trying to do this one. Okay, so as soon as I can give you a link, I'll. Oh, there we go. Did it. So there you are. A whole bunch of charts for you to chew on. And thank you very much for putting up with me yet again.
Sounds great. Thank you, Brian. And thank you all for joining. We will see you next time.
All right, bye for now.